What's going on with the WNBA? I just met some lady who played for the Seattle Storm. I saw her at practice. She was giving buckets. 9th year in the league. Went to...
I told y'all the Deja Kellys came out and said, I don't want no lockout. Jay Melbourne, all these people have come out saying they don't want no...
The moment didn't happen in a press conference or on a polished social media post. It happened in a gym, in passing, the way truth usually slips out when people stop performing and start talking. A former NFL player bumps into a woman getting buckets at practice. She tells him she's a 9th-year vet, went to Duke, plays for the Seattle Storm. Then she says something that lands heavier than any jumper she just hit. They need to hurry up and sign that deal. Not someday. Not eventually. Now. That sentence travels fast because it isn't calculated. It isn't strategic.
Duke, boss. She's like, yeah, we need to hurry up and sign that deal.
Oh, damn lockout, and y'all are playing games.
Hey, what's going on with the WNBA? I just met some lady who played for the Seattle Storm. I saw her at practice. She was giving...
It isn't wrapped in union language or filtered through PR. It is frustration speaking in real time. And once people put the pieces together, there is only one player who fits that description. Lexi Brown. A 9-year veteran. 31 years old. Still grinding. Still fighting for every season to matter. And she just became the first veteran to publicly crack the image of perfect unity the WNBA Players Association has been selling. The union has spent months building a story about solidarity. Every graphic, every post, every statement has pushed the idea that all players are locked in together, ready to hold the line as long as it takes. But solidarity looks different depending on where you stand. For superstars with endorsement money, overseas contracts, and guaranteed max deals waiting on the other side, time is annoying but not dangerous. For players like Lexi Brown, time is expensive. She is under contract right now under the old CBA. That means if a season happens, she gets paid.
Buckets, 9th year in the league, went to Duke, boss. She's like, yeah.
Whoa, we need to hurry up and sign that deal now. Hot KTV, how do you know it's Lexi Brown?
If the season disappears into a lockout, she loses a year of income and a year of opportunity to prove she deserves more when the new money finally comes. At 31, every year matters. Every healthy season matters. Every game is part of the resume that decides whether you get one more contract or get replaced by someone younger and cheaper. So when she says hurry up and sign that deal, she is not being emotional. She is doing math. The league has entered what they call a status quo period. On paper, it means operations continue under the old agreement while negotiations drag on. In reality, it has created paralysis. Free agency is frozen. Teams cannot sign players. Deals cannot be finalized. Everyone is waiting for a new CBA that keeps not arriving. The league is not panicking. They are not staging publicity. They are not flooding social media with emotional appeals. They are doing the one thing that wins most labor battles. They are waiting. They know the calendar is their ally. Every week without games, without checks, without certainty makes pressure grow inside the union. Not from owners. From players. From people who have bills, careers, families, and limited windows to earn. The owners can afford patience. The league can afford delay. Not every player can. Lexi Brown's situation exposes that gap. She is not a superstar with massive endorsement deals. She is not a rookie just grateful to be drafted. She is the middle of the league. The backbone. The kind of player every roster needs but few fans talk about. She makes solid veteran money under the old system, somewhere between $70,000 and $90,000. Not luxury money. Just professional money. The new CBA would likely raise salaries significantly, but only if players survive long enough to reach it. She needs the season to happen so she can play, perform, and position herself for that future money. If there is no season, she ages another year without adding value to her resume. In a league with limited roster spots and constant young talent arriving, that is not a small risk. That is a career-shaping risk. What makes her words powerful is not just what she said, but how she said it. She didn't release a statement. She didn't go on a podcast. She didn't craft language that could be defended later. She said it casually, to someone she thought understood sports, without realizing it would become public. That tells you something important. This is not a radical opinion inside locker rooms. It is just one that most players are too afraid to voice. They do not want to be seen as traitors to solidarity. They do not want to be blamed if the union loses leverage. But silence does not mean agreement. Silence often means fear of consequences. And this is where the union strategy becomes fragile. Their power comes from the idea that all players are willing to sit out together for as long as it takes. Once even a few players publicly start saying they want a deal now, that illusion weakens. Owners do not need to break the union. They just need to wait for it to strain itself from the inside. They can let the pressure build as players realize what a lockout costs them personally. They can watch as veterans start thinking less about collective ideals and more about their own careers. Negotiations are not won by emotion. They are won by endurance. And right now, endurance is not equal on both sides. The timing makes everything worse. If free agency really gets pushed to March, teams will be trying to build rosters at the same time they are supposed to be scouting the NCAA tournament. That means front offices split focus between present and future at the worst possible moment. The draft happens in April. Training camps open weeks later. The season starts in May. The WNBA already operates on a brutally tight calendar. Delaying free agency compresses everything into chaos. For players, that means uncertainty about where they will play until the last possible moment. For teams, it means rushed decisions that affect entire seasons. For fans, it means confusion and frustration at a league that finally has momentum but seems determined to trip over itself. Lexi Brown's comment is not just about her paycheck. It is about a growing realization among players that the union's hardline strategy might be gambling with the wrong people's money. Superstars can survive a long standoff. Veterans on modest contracts cannot. Rookies trying to establish themselves cannot. The union assumed unity would hold because the future rewards look big. But future rewards do not pay today's bills. They do not protect today's careers. They do not stop a 31-year-old from worrying that one lost season could cost her the next contract. This is how cracks form. First, players express concern carefully. They say they hope there is no lockout. They talk about wanting both sides to find a solution. Then someone says what Lexi said. Not politely. Not strategically. Just honestly. And once that honesty becomes public, others start to feel less alone in thinking it. The union can keep posting graphics about solidarity, but real solidarity is tested when it hurts. Right now, it is hurting unevenly. And that imbalance is exactly what the owners are counting on. What happens next depends on how many Lexi Browns exist in this league. Not stars. Not rookies. Veterans in the middle who need every season to count. If more of them start speaking openly, the union loses its strongest weapon. Not money. Not public sympathy. Unity. And once unity weakens, the final deal almost always moves toward the side that can afford to wait longer. Right now, that side is not the players. This moment is bigger than one conversation in a gym. It is a warning signal. It says the story of perfect unity is already under strain. It says the human cost of waiting is starting to outweigh the dream of winning big later. And it says that this lockout, if it happens, will not end because of pressure from fans or headlines. It will end because players inside the union decide they cannot afford to keep paying the price of patience. So now the question is simple, but uncomfortable. Was the hardline strategy ever realistic, or did the union overestimate how long players could survive without certainty? Did they miscalculate how differently this fight feels depending on your bank account and your age? And if more veterans start saying what Lexi Brown already said, will this standoff end on the players' terms or on the owner's timeline? Drop your thoughts below. Do you think the union is doing the right thing by holding firm, or are they risking the careers of players who cannot afford to wait? Should veterans like Lexi Brown speak up more, or does that weaken everyone? And if you want more real breakdowns of what is actually happening behind the headlines in women's basketball, make sure you like, subscribe, and stay connected, because this story is far from over and the next move could change the league for years to come.